Hey everyone, this is Matt Olson with the City of Charleston Recreation Department and Environmental Education Division. What I'd like to do today is to show you all a kind of a cool way that you can actually reuse those plastic Easter eggs that the Easter Bunny is going to bring your kids this year. So what I want to do today is I want to show you how to make little bird feeding eggs out of your plastic eggs after you're done hunting for them in the yard. Got my bucket, have some hot water, and the hot water is actually used to melt gelatin, which I have already done. I've already mixed it together. Now in order to do this, I'm planning to make about anywhere probably about 10 to 12 eggs. So I'm only going to use half of the powder in the gelatin, and I dissolve that with about a half a cup of hot water. Okay, so we're going to add that. We're also going to be using some light corn syrup. Light doesn't really matter. Corn syrup. Corn syrup and the gelatin are going to add the real sticky part to it. If you are doing this, you probably want to remove any rings or anything that you have from your hands, because this is a very sticky activity. We're also going to add some flour to it too. That just helps to kind of solidify everything and hopefully hold the eggs together a little bit better. Okay, so I've already gone through, had the hot water, mixed about a half a pack of that gelatin. If we're going to go ahead, we're going to pour the gelatin mixture in. Okay. Then I'm going to take some of the corn syrup. I'm not really going to measure this at any. I'm just going to just squirt some in. Just a little bit. You don't need too much of it. And then some of the flour. And I'm just going to pour some of that in. Again, not really doing an exact measurement. The only thing I exactly measured was the amount of water for the amount of gelatin. We're going to add some of that flour there too. And then we're just going to take something, if you have a spoon or whatever, and mix it together. Try to get that flour to dissolve in there a little bit. Okay, so there we have our mixture. Now we're going to add our bird seed, and I am actually going to be adding 3 cups of bird seed. But for this, I'm just going to use this wild bird food. It's kind of your typical bird food that you would find at you know, Walmart, Target, grocery stores, places like that. Okay? So, all right, so we're going to add about 3 cups of bird seed. And let me go ahead and get some of that scooped out here. So there's 1. 2. And 3. All right. Take our mixer, and we're going to want to mix all of that up. Again, this is where you're going to start to see the stickiness of the corn syrup and the gelatin and the flour really taking place. Okay. Get messy, guys, so you're going to have seeds stuck to your hand and all over the place. Make sure you're doing it somewhere where, if you can do it outside, that's probably the best. So any bird seed that falls out during the process of making these eggs just goes onto the ground, where they're probably going to get eaten anyways. So I think we mixed up pretty well there. Okay, so you can see, I mean, this stuff is sticky, and it's going to go and just stick right to everything it touches. But that's what we want, because after we're done producing these eggs, we will we're going to go put them in the refrigerator for most of the things I said were at least 3 hours to harden up after they go into the fridge. If not, just leave them in overnight, and that'll be plenty. So there's our mixture right there. Now our eggs. Okay, and what you want to do with these eggs before you actually start to put the filling in, is you are going to want to put a little cooking spray in, because that will actually help you release the eggs after they've cooled down a lot better. If not, they're going to have a tendency to stick to the inside of the eggs, and it'll be much more difficult in order to separate the hardened birdseed egg from the actual egg casing. Just basic cooking spray is what I'm going to use. And take your spray, give it a couple blasts in there, okay? And then you are going to complete your final egg. So you're going to be taking a scoop of the birdseed, and you're going to put it in one side, take another scoop, put it in the other side, okay? Now the key to this, when you put the eggs together, you want it filled enough to where the two sides are eventually going to connect. So if you want to go and kind of put it almost an overflow, and then go and try to remove some to make the sides fit, that's probably going to be your best bet. And you want it packed in there as tightly as possible. So you're going to have to take these eggs and maneuver them around. Let's see, there we go. Okay, and snap that egg shut. So it's completely filled on the inside. And then if you have any just loose regular egg cartons, these make the perfect way to freeze it. So you take your egg, bloop, put it in there, and we're going to go ahead and fill the rest of these up. It is now 3 hours after we had put those birdseed eggs into the refrigerator. They've had 3 hours to kind of harden up, and so what I want to do is show you kind of what the finished product looks like. And there is a couple ways that this product can come out. I cracked a couple of these open already. So one thing that can happen is, even though the seeds go and stick together within the egg, sometimes when you're going to pop these eggs open, you have to put a little bit of pressure on it. That's sometimes enough pressure to actually crack the egg in half, like this. I cracked a couple of these open already. So one thing that can happen is, even though the seeds go and stick together within the egg, sometimes when you're going to pop these eggs open, you have to put a little bit of pressure on it. That's sometimes enough pressure to actually crack the egg in half, like this. Once I'm done showing you this portion, I am going to show you a way that you can still use these. Even though they're not stuck together to form a perfect egg shape, you can actually make little feeders out of these eggs. And I want to look at this red one right here, because I think this one came out pretty well. So when you're opening this, you want to be as gentle and as slow as possible, because if you just go and rip it open, it's not going to work. You're going to end up with all of your eggs looking like this, which is fine. The birds will still come and eat the seed out of them. But if you want to get the Easter egg look, you want to be extra careful. And even if you're careful, sometimes it just doesn't work. But let me pull this out of here. And there you go. So you can see we have now made our birdseed egg. I have seen people that make little harnesses out of ribbon. So they basically take 2 lengths of ribbon, equal lengths. They tie it together in the middle of the 2 ribbons, and then use the 4 straps coming up. They put the base under here, bring the straps up the sides, tie it off here, and hang it from the tree. That's one option you can do. Another option is you can just get something and tie it right around the middle, okay, and go and hang it up in the tree. You could essentially go and just lay this out on the ground for all the birds that come and are typical ground feeders. So there's multiple ways to use this in order to feed the birds. And so what happened when I first cracked this open earlier this morning, the egg was not formed. We had feed over here, but we did not have our egg. So what I did is, we had some extra little craft straws from who knows when. And so I cut a little piece of the craft straw and then took some packing tape. And basically you want to reclose the egg, cut a length of straw that's about the width of the egg, and then while it's closed, just put the straw up against one of the sides. Most of these eggs have a little area where they're connected together, and that's what I used here. And in fact, let me move this out of the way here. You can see that little pink piece right in there. And then tape that straw on the back, and then when you open it up, the straw acts as a base to hold it open, and you have made your little feeder. Okay, so we had that pink one there. We have another pink one right over here that I did. And then coming up and over here, here was an orange one. Okay. So while these might not turn out perfect, you know, if you're trying to get that egg shape, they can still be used by actually forming the plastic egg into a feeder.